the voice of the UK.
5 Live Drive.
On BBC Radio 5 Live.
Well, we will stick with sport a little bit for the next few minutes because last night things continued to go from bad to worse for Spurs and their fans.
Wattles, a lovely ball through to Sarr. Vicario hesitated. Sarr nips in, tucks it beyond the hesitant goalkeeper who was caught in no man's land. And Crystal Palace are 3-1 up at Tottenham, deep in first half stoppage time. And now they're flooding out the Tottenham fans.
Jonathan Pearson commentary for 5 Live last night. It was a 3-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. That leaves Spurs 1 point above the relegation zone and on an 11-match winless league run. That is the club's longest since 1975. So let's speak to a couple of fans now. Rosa Anderson from the Hometown Glory podcast and also Chris Cowlin of the Spurs Chat Podcast. Welcome to you both. Rosa, I'll start with you. Were you one of the fans leaving early last night?
No, I wasn't there, and I'm really glad that I wasn't. My poor dad went by himself because I couldn't go with him, and I think he stuck it out.
Oh, well, good on him.
The bitter end. So yeah, I've got to shout him out because the fortitude, I did not inherit it. The deep sigh that I just exhaled from my entire body listening back to that commentary, the depression that I'm sunk into, it is so deep.
Chris, were you surprised at the reaction from some of the fans or has this been coming?
No, I'm never surprised by the fans, and certainly if fans want to leave early, that's totally up to them. If they want to stay until the end, that's totally up to them. We're in real desperate times right now, and everyone is feeling extremely nervous and anxious about our Premier League survival status because at the moment, all the teams around us, when you look at the likes of West Ham and Forest and Leeds, they're showing a lot more fight and desire, and they're picking up a lot more points. We've only picked up 4 points in the Premier League in this calendar year so far, and I think at the moment we need a bit of a miracle. Something major needs to change. The manager's come in, and we expected a new manager bounce, and we expected an instant impact from Igor Tudor, instant results, and the results simply haven't been good enough. The performances have probably been worse since Thomas Frank left, and I don't know where we go from here. I honestly don't.
Rosa, in terms of the situation for Tottenham, I've heard a lot of people say they'll be fine, they won't go down, it's Tottenham. But is that now becoming maybe a real fear that it could happen?
It's not a fear. I think it's happening. And I think a lot of us have said this for months, that we've been in really, really big trouble. And a lot of us have also seen this coming since before this season. And this is just, I've said this before, and so many people have as well, it's not just me. This is like the inevitable end result of what the brains in charge of this club have done in terms of the level of investment, in terms of just taking money from everybody without ever putting it back. It's gonna, you sell Kane, you sell Son Heung-min, and then you replace them with players of a less quality or younger. You can't survive like this in this league. It's like the life has been sucked out of this club, and at this point, I personally am just making preparations for Lincoln City away next season.
Well, I know there's been lots of memes and videos across social media of that, Chris, but in terms of the players in the squad that are there, do you think they're good enough to stay up? There has been significant investment in the last few years in terms of the playing power, hasn't there? But it's just not, is it a confidence thing?
Well, I think it's a mixture of things, actually. I think there's a lot of issues right now, and I think Rosa's absolutely spot on and right in what she says there. Pochettino back in 2019 said about, got this amazing mansion and you need to put the furniture in it. And every single time we've let a quality player leave, we've replaced them with a player of less quality, and that has been a real issue. But, going back to this squad, I just think that Igor Tudor is probably the wrong appointment. I think that someone else should have probably come in, and they need to get the very best out of these players right now. Are we good enough to stay up? It's all in the performances. We've got 9 very, very huge games coming up. But from what we've seen in the last 3, it doesn't give anyone any confidence, particularly, as I said, the likes of West Ham and Nottingham Forest and even Wolves spot on the table. They're showing more fight and desire. But this manager just needs to get the best out of these players and work extremely hard. We've got Liverpool up next in the Premier League and then Forest at home. Every single game is huge. There's no easy game in the Premier League, but what I'd say to these players is you just need to give absolutely everything, because the atmosphere last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I just think that everyone realised, what a huge problem we are in.
It is interesting, Rosa, the chat around Igor Tudor. He's only 3 matches in charge, but already you can sense an unease from certain parts over how he has been, and maybe some people expecting that he may be soon to go. Would that sort anything though?
No, because they left it too late. I don't even think it's his fault, because again, the people in charge had no plan, even though the rest of us could see it coming with not just the results under Thomas Frank, but the performances and all the injuries. Like, we were heading into a perfect storm, and they just did that childish thing of, if I shut my eyes, you can't see me. There's no problem here. So they had when it finally became untenable, they had no other option, and he was the only guy. So it's not his fault, but there's no time. I can't see how they turn it around from here, really.
And, it's not long until the end of the season, Chris, in terms of the fans and what the fans can potentially do for the remaining 9 games. What sort of reception do you think they will be giving players at the home and away matches, how they can try and kind of support them? Or do you think it may get a little bit uglier in terms of the support and the frustration at the running of the club?
Well, I think it's very fair to say I go home and away, and the fan base have been exceptional towards the players, not so much Thomas Frank. And as Rosa said, also, a lot of us saw what was coming with Thomas Frank. The performances and the results weren't good enough, and Spurs should have made that change earlier. But the fans have been excellent, and this is all now on the players stepping up, taking responsibility, showing some guts and desire to win football matches, and it's all on them, and it's also all on the manager, because they've made that interim change, and he needs to make that dramatic impact, and we need to pick up points and fast. The Liverpool away game, I think, if I'm right, I think we've won once there in the last 35 years. So that's going to be a very, very tough game. And then, either side, our next game, we've got Atletico Madrid in the Champions League away. And then after the Liverpool game, Atletico Madrid at home in the last 16. And the Champions League games, I never ever thought I'd say this, but the Champions League games seem like a bit of a hindrance at the moment, because the high importance with the Premier League matches.
Chris, appreciate your time. Chris Cowlin of the Spurs Chat Podcast, and also Rosa Anderson from the Hometown Glory podcast, reacting to Spurs' loss last night, and also their position quite down towards the bottom of the Premier League table. There's lots of football for you this weekend on 5 Live, because it is 5th round FA Cup weekend. The action will start tonight with Wolves against Liverpool. There's going to be live commentary on 5 Live Sport with Maz Faruqi starting just at 7 o'clock after us.